Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zero, and in today's video I wanted to give a deep discussion about Zhongli, everything I figured out or thought I figured out about him, and some builds and comps that he will work great in and what role he plays best. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, first let's get into his role. Now first, I want to say that he is a support character. He's officially announced a support character. Now, as I said before, an overworld where you're fighting elite bosses, domains, and all that stuff, you can run him as a main physical DPS. It doesn't matter. That is all your choice. Enjoy it how you want to. This stuff that I am giving you is all for Abyss to try to make it easier for you. It's not, you don't have to do this, you don't have to use them in this way, but this is for people who want to have an easier time and use Zhongli at the best of his abilities. Now, you can use him as a physical DPS, main DPS in Abyss if you want to. That's just not his best role. That doesn't mean you can't do it. So I just want to get that out the way. That this isn't saying that you can only use them this way and this way only. You can use them any way that you want to. It does not matter. You just have an easier time doing it certain ways. That's all. I just wanted to say that because people are complaining about what people say about Zhongli, even though we're just trying to help people invest in their character the right way. But anyway, let's get on to the first topic. Alright, so first I want to say that there are different types of supports in this game. There are sub DPSs, healers, and there's a role that I think is very unique to Zhongli, and that is just pure tank. Yes, Noelle is a tank, but she also heals. It's C0. She heals. She's a healer and a tank. Zhongli is purely a tank. He is there to soak up damage. You can build him as a sub DPS, but you will be taking away some of his shield strength to do it. Yes, you can put on artifacts that increase his shield strength and whatnot, but like if you want to build him at the best of his ability, using him as a tank, putting up his shield, and letting his shield soak up damage for you as you fight is, in my opinion, the best way to use him. Now, you can use him any way that you want to, but again, this is just what I personally think, and I personally think will be the best for people overall at C0. So we want to talk about the importance of each talent when it comes to what role you want to give him. Now, for a main DPS, of course, you want your normal attack maxed out first. And personally, I think that if you using him as a main DPS, I would go for his ult and his E next, like keeping them kind of balanced. But if you only want to work on one at a time, I would probably say his skill, because this is where your shield is and your extra damage with your pillar. So I would go after these two first and then lead the ult for last. Now, this is just a personal thing. Like most people would probably say different, but I personally think if you want to use him as a sub DPS, I will go after his ult first, because his skill doesn't do that much damage. So yes, you do extra 1k or however much damage you do over the duration of this skill, but most of your extra damage is going to come from your ult. So I will go after ult first and then go after the skill. You don't even have to touch normal attack if you use them as a support. The only reason why mine is number 2 because of Child's passive. if you want to go for purely just a tank build, I would say go for his E ability first, and then go for his ult. Because if you're using it for his shield and not extra damage, then you want to level up his skill first, because that's where leveling up his skill will up his shield absorption, and then you can go after his ult. You don't even have to touch his normal attack for tank either, because he isn't there to do damage. I want to say that this build is my personal build, and you don't have to build your Zhongli just like this, but I find this way of using him very effective, so I'm going to share it. I am using 4 Please Noblest Oblige. The reason why I'm using this is because his ult costs 40 energy, so with enough energy recharge, you can have it off cooldown even if you don't have him on the field. So I gave him energy recharge, and I also gave him Skyward Spine, which has energy recharge, and he has 185% energy recharge. Now, as you see, I'm not going for damage whatsoever. I am purely using him as a tank and for his and ult bot. Now, the 4 piece Noblest Oblige says that using an elemental burst increases all party members' attack by 20% for 12 seconds. Zhongli's cooldown on his ult is 12 seconds. So theoretically, you can have 100% ult time, uptime on the 20% attack buff for your whole party if you have enough energy recharge to spam his ult off cooldown. And that's why I use this artifact set, because if I'm spamming his ult off cooldown, my uh child, which is my main DPS for this team, he will have a 20% attack bonus for the entirety of the fight. Plus, if I use Beto's ult with Child's melee form, the amount of DPS that he can do with that whole setup is just crazy. He will literally melt almost anything except for, things that aren't affected by Hydro. Now for the stats that I'm using on my artifacts, I'm just giving him as much HP as possible and as much energy recharge as possible, so I can give him a stronger shield and give him a lot more energy recharge to spam his ult. Sub DPS Zhongli. Now, I personally found that Archaic Petra 2 piece along with Noblest Oblige 2 piece works really well for him, because the Archaic Petra gives him 15% geo bonus damage, and his uh his bonus for ascending him is already geo bonus damage, so that will just add to the bit that he has. Go back to it. And also, as you see, the Noblest Oblige 2 piece set gives him elemental burst damage, so that will just make his ult 20% stronger, as well as when you get him to Ascension 2. And you get to Ascension 2, which is 40 out of 50 for those who don't know, or you go to level 40 and then you ascend him. He has a passive that gives him additional damage based off 33% of his max HP. So let's say that you have 24k max HP. His ult will gain 8k more damage just because you have 24k max HP. Alright, now if you want to use Zhongli for main DPS, he is a physical damage carrier. Physical damage carries are those who rely on their auto attacks to do more damage. So Bloodstained Chivalry is a really good 2 piece set for Zhongli, as he will be able to take advantage of that physical damage with all of his attacks that aren't his skill or his ult. When it comes to what to pair with Bloodstained Chivalry as he is a main DPS, there are a few options that you can get, because it's kind of up in the air on how you want to play him and where you want to put your damage. Now, if you want to get that extra damage on your pillar as well as your ult, two-piece Archaic Petra will be just for you. Aside from Archaic Petra, with Blessing Chivalry, you can also give him Retracing Bolide. I know that Retracing Bolide does not improve his damage, but if you're using Zhongli as your main DPS, you can use his shield to substitute having to bring in your healer. So if his shield lasts longer, that's more time that you can be attacking with Zhongli rather than breaking your healer and having to heal him back up. I know that this is based off of Abyss, but you can use it. But be warned that if you use Chasing Bolide in stages that have stuff like Ruin Hunters, Ruin Guards for Tui, your shield isn't going to last long enough for you to still have it when your cooldown gets off. Because if you're not good at dodging, then all your shield is going to do is save you one or two extra hits with Retracing Bolide. So you be better off going with damage other than shield strength if you're using him as main DPS. Now, the last thing that I found that was successful with Blessing Chivalry as he's a main DPS is, of course, Noblesse Oblige because it increases his burst damage by 20%, which will help you do more damage on your ult along with the passive that you get at Ascension 2. So if you want to do bigger numbers and more burst damage, then you would probably want to do this or Archaic Petra for your second set with Bloodstained Chivalry, so you can get the most amount of DPS you can if you're running Bloodstained Chivalry. A set that I thought was okay, but really didn't produce that much for me was Retracing Bolide 4-piece set because as I said, the 2-piece increases shield strength by 35%, so your shield will absorb more damage. But while you're protected with that by that shield, the 4-piece bonus will give you more normal and charge attack damage, which is helpful if your shield can stay up. So if you're using Retracing Bolide, you might want to, throw a little extra HP in there so make your shield a little bit stronger so you can keep having it every time off cooldown so you don't have to worry about switching in characters to heal Zhongli back up or do some extra damage while his cooldown is going off. For weapons, if you're using a support Zhongli, his best weapons would be Skyward Spine or Favonius Lance because they both get energy recharge, and you want to give him a good amount of energy recharge so you can get his ult back as often as possible. If you want to use Zhongli as a physical damage carry, Crescent Pike is the best 4-star weapon in the game, and it's free, so anybody can get it. It gives you physical damage bonus as a substat, so as much as you level it up and ascend it, you will get more physical damage bonus on top of the Bloodstained Chivalry damage bonus if you are using Bloodstained Chivalry 2-piece set. Now, the passive for this is really good because if you get an elemental particle with him, at Refinement 1, you will gain 20% attack damage bonus for 5 seconds. So if you're good at switching your characters in, doing their skill, and switching them out so Zhongli can get the elemental particle, you can technically have 100% uptime on this passive while you're fighting, which is really, really OP. Now, quite literally, the best weapon in the game for him 5-star wise is Vortex Vanquisher because it's literally made for him. But it gives you the attack percent substat, which is pretty nice. Um, the passive of it is really OP for main DPS Zhongli as well as support Zhongli, which it increases shield strength by 20% at Refinement 1, which is really good if you have Retracing Bolide set on him. So that will give you 50% more shield strength all together if you rocking Refinement 1 Vortex Vanquisher. The second passive on Vortex Vanquisher is really OP for main DPS Zhongli because hitting an opponent will give you 4% on Refinement 1, 4% attack bonus, and that can stack up to 5 times. So theoretically, if you get all 5 stacks on Refinement 1 Vortex Vanquisher, you get 20% more attack bonus. Now, if you're protected by a shield, you double that. So if you have Refinement 1 Vortex Vanquisher, you can literally get up to 40% extra attack just by having your shield on Zhongli, which is OP. Now that we have the roles and builds out of the way, we can go over what comps I really like think he was really viable in, and what comps will he will excel in the future. And while I'm at it, I want to make sure that I include the fact that these team comps are subjective. You can use any team comp that you want. These are just the ones that I really think he will excel in for different roles. So don't be like, oh, don't think I'm saying, oh, you can only use them in this comp or that comp because you can use them any comp you want. I'm just giving you what I personally found was the most effective for him. As a tank, Zhongli can go on any team that you want him to go on as long as you're not looking for more damage. If you need to use Zhongli for more damage, then don't build him as a tank because a tank is meant to soak up damage and protect your main DPS from damage so they don't have to switch out as much and get heals. That's it. You do not need to put Zhongli in a team if that team needs more damage. So if you're building Zhongli for his shield and giving him as much shield strength as possible so you can keep this shield up as long as possible, any melee user like a sword or a pole arm, they will love Zhongli because you eliminate that fear of dying as quickly if you have Zhongli's shield on them. So like Razor, Diluc, Beto, freaking Chi-Chi, if you use Chi-Chi as a main DPS, just anybody who needs a shield so they will can stay in a fight longer will love Zhongli if you're using him for his shield and his shield only. Now with Zhongli being Geo, he doesn't supply anybody with extra damage like with elemental reactions or anything. All he does is supply shields, which is perfectly fine, but that's why I say that if you're looking for more damage, you would probably be better going with someone else if you don't have them or you're trying to see if you want to pull for them or not. If you're looking for somebody to do more damage than for you, or you're looking for somebody to supply your already chosen main DPS with extra damage. I personally don't think Zhongli is before you because he doesn't supply elemental reactions, and elemental reactions are what makes DPS better. That's why Pyro is the best element in the game right now because Spiral Abyss Floor 12 is all ice. So you have non-stop Pyro melt damage, which is times 2. So if you're looking for more damage, I'd rather pull for Shen Yan than you than I have you pull for Zhongli because she's a Pyro character. Now, as a main DPS, you since he doesn't have elemental reaction damage, you can basically get from anybody you want. But I suggest people who can either amplify his talents, like GOMC. Well, I have her Nemo, but GOMC, you come in, put his or her rocks down, and then you switch to Zhongli and put his pillar down so where it resonates. That's a really good combo. But you can also give him people who do damage or healing while they're not on the field, like Mona, Fischl, Zhangling, Bennett can heal all while he's off the field if you do his ult. You can also give him Barbara or Chi Chi, and if you want, you can go double shield, so you can give him Noel or Diana or Shinyan because they will give him an extra shield. So if his shield's on cooldown, but you're still trying to do damage, you can switch one of them in, pop their shield, and then by the time their shield is gone, you'll be able to do Zhongli's shield again. And of course, the strongest two options for Zhongli are either GOMC or Ningguang because they both can drop a skill that resonates with his pillar and gives him extra damage and more area of effect on his pillar of resonance, which is really small. So you want to get as much as you can if you're using his main DPS. So again, pair him with either GOMC or Ningguang because they both amplify his damage in one way or another. Now I'm going to give you some teams that basically put Abyss on easy mode and were like really fun to use. If you main, and especially if you main these characters, it will probably be fun for you to use him in these comps. All right, so the first team that I want to give you that I really like, I call it a triple shield meta because it basically makes your DPS indestructible. So you get your main DPS, whoever you main for your main DPS, the Luke, Beto, Child, um, who else? Fischl, Zhangling, it doesn't matter. Uh, you choose your main DPS, and then you choose either Xingyan or Diona as your second character, and you choose Zhongli, then you choose Noel. Now, the reason why I really like this comp is because you basically have a 100% shield uptime if your characters are built properly. So if you have your shield, say you have your Xingyan shield and it breaks, well you can switch off Razor and go to John Lee, and now you can use his shield, which also gives you crystals. So you basically have two shields on Razor, and you're keeping Razor as long as you can in there. So then when that shield breaks, you can either switch back to Xingyan and use her shield again, or you can switch to Noelle and use her shield, do a little bit of healing, and then switch back in to Razor and do some more damage. So basically, Razor would be indestructible. So that would help out with if your Noelle doesn't do immense amounts of healing with her um, skill because you don't have her C1. That's okay because Razor isn't taking that much damage, or your main damage dealer isn't taking that much damage because they constantly have a shield on them. So if you're looking for a comp to use him in, I would really suggest this comp because it's really fun. So and you get to use your favorite character more and not have to worry about switching them out for a long period of time because their cooldowns are down or whatever. I wanted to make sure that everybody knows I am a whale, of course. This is a whale team, and it's really fun. If you're a whale and you have this comp available, then I would suggest it. But basically, you yes, you don't have any healing, but you won't die if you use your elemental reactions, right? You can use Kaya's ult and then use Child's melee form to freeze the enemies, and then once they're frozen and Child melee form is up, you can use Zhongli's shield and then go back and forth with Diluc and Kaya to cause melt damage. I honestly had so much fun playing this team. Even with my level 26 Kaya, I didn't care. It was really fun. So if you have this comp available, then I suggest you try it just for fun. You know, last team that I really had fun with was basically it's a double Geo team with Ding Guang as main DPS, Zhongli as the support slash sub DPS, and Venti. You can also use Sucrose if you want to, because as long as you have Viridescent, then it's same purpose. And whatever healer you want, which I have Chi. Now, the reason why I have Venti in there is purely just for the elemental resistance dread. So you just bring in Sucrose or Venti, cast Swirl, and drop their Geo resistance. And then after that, you go to work with Ningguang, come in, pop your pillar with Zhongli, come back in with Ningguang, pop her ult. It's really fun. So if you have this comp available or you have Sucrose instead of Venti and freaking I don't care Barba instead of Chi, then that's perfectly fine too. As long as you just need a healer for to keep you alive, because you only have one shield in this comp, and you don't really have any other CC other than Sucrose, which is not gonna like fill all the entire time that Zhongli's shield is down. I know a couple of people wanted to use triple or quadruple Geo teams when they got Zhongli, but the reason why that wouldn't be like the best with as far as 9 through 12 is that you need counter elements. Well, right now they have a buff going on for Geo to make Zhongli more viable. So I mean, you could probably make it work if you have enough damage. But in 9 through 12, you want to bring counter at least two characters in your party that can counter the elements of the shields of the Fatui or the whatever enemy is, whatever the slimes or the Fatui, doesn't matter. You want to bring characters who can counter those elements. So if you're bringing 3 Geo, you won't be able to break the Fatui shield fast enough, or you won't be able to kill anything fast enough because you're not bringing the right characters to do elemental reactions to do more damage. Alright guys, if you made this far into the video, I really appreciate you. I put a lot of thought into this video and I wanted to help at least some people out. I didn't want to include like numbers and stuff like that because I've had people complaining that I'm too focused on numbers. I just want I'm taking away from people's fun. There are people out there that look up videos like this or look up numbers because they want to make the game easier for them. There is nothing wrong with that. Not everybody likes to struggle in every game, and there's nothing wrong with that. Videos like this are for those people who want to make their gameplay experience easier, or casuals who don't know exactly what comps works with what character would make the best comp with your main, or how to build certain characters. That's why that's why people like me look up numbers and test characters so we can give people the best uh, gameplay experience that we can with the way that they enjoy playing it. Now, you don't have to use any of my builds. You don't have to use any of my comps. That's perfectly fine. As long as you're having fun, if you're playing for fun and you're having fun, use whoever you want. Anybody can be S tier as long as you build them right. Just some characters are easier to make S tiers than other. That's all that the numbers are stating. The numbers aren't stating that the character will never be good. The numbers only state that if you're building this character that's in S tier will be easier and less expensive to build than this character that's in A tier. That's all it is. That's all we're saying. So don't come to theory crafters and stuff and test people who test the game and characters and say that, oh, this character isn't as good. We're just saying that as they're more expensive to make good than other characters in their same role. For those who want to use Zhongli as a main DPS, I suggest that you learn his kick combo, which, as you know, when he does his combo, he kicks his spear and then does another hit after. If you if you jump cancel his kick, you can get a lot more damage by starting another combo as soon as as soon as the spear stops spinning. So basically, you're not going to stop doing damage if you learn how to do it right. So basically, let me show you. Let me be quiet so I can show you. As soon as his leg comes out to kick it, you can jump cancel and start another combo as soon as you land. Alright, and that's it. Alright, now I will leave you guys to it to build your Zhongli as much as you want, however you want, whatever you find the most fun and the most fitting for whatever you do. With that being said, now I'll see you guys in the next video.